What's up, everybody? Thanks again for stopping by for another edition of March 4th with Mike Bauman. I, of course, am your host, Mike Bauman. Whoever you are, wherever you are listening from, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. If you're a returning listener, I greatly appreciate your continued love and support. And if you're a brand new listener of the show, man, thank you so much for hopping aboard that pirate ship. You can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod. I am on YouTube and TikTok at March 4th Pod. The links to all of my stuff are in the podcast description for this episode. So that means if you made it here and you found me somehow, and I truly appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to check out another edition of the March 4th with Mike Bauman podcast. How is everybody doing, man? I hope that life finds you well as this is hitting your eardrums. I just want to say thank you again to everybody who listens to the show, everybody who likes and subscribes and tells a friend to tell a friend. It really, truly means a lot. It's been cool to see it grow. And your boy's trying to do more shorts and reels and clips and do my video thing. And I'm inching closer to full vid on YouTube. So for those of you who like to consume content on YouTube like that, keep your eyes out for March 4th Pod. Just trying to get more into the content game of this. It's been fun learning that over the last year plus. I really made it a concerted effort at the beginning of 2024 to do more video stuff. I was seeing shows that I loved to watch that were doing these shorts and how entertaining and fun those can be, and just kind of a cool little snippet of the full conversation, man. So I'm doing more of that, but it does mean a lot that you guys are all on board the pirate ship. So for anybody who's taken time to listen, including if you're a first-time listener to this show today, welcome. It really means a lot. That's all I'm trying to do is connect with people in a positive way. And don't get me wrong, if one of the streaming services wants to throw your boy some exclusivity cash to do this for a living, I won't pass. But at the same time, man, I really love to do this. I love music. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been interested in places outside of myself or outside of where I was from. And don't get me wrong, I love the Midwest. My favorite hat that I have is a Midwest hat from Jute Mode in my hometown. Shout out Jute Mode, JUPMODE. They're an awesome company, make a lot of really cool stuff, custom stuff, as well as Midwest flavor stuff. I digress, but I'm very proud of where I'm from. I'm proud to be from the 419. I'm proud of T-Town and Toledo and the work ethic that I grew up with. But I always loved going and seeing new places. Going to Grand Haven, Michigan when I was a kid with the fam. That was something we did, like, gosh, I don't even know how many summers in a row, and I loved it, man. Like, to this day, that's one of my favorite places in the world. And I have like dreams of being able to buy a place and be by the lake up there. But it's expensive. It's outside your boy's budget, especially in these times. And the winters would be brutal, but I kind of like that. You just hunker down in like a log cabin. And, in my head, I'm like 88 years old, even though I'm 37. But or when we went to Chicago when I was a kid, and being the big MJ fan that I still am and that I was as a kid, going by Michael Jordan's restaurant and seeing MJ flying through space on the side of the restaurant, this big old mural, going to Nike Town and FAO Schwartz, and going to a bigger city, like, it was cool. And even when I came to Nashville, I remember the first time I made that drive into town and saw all the hills and everything down here. It was just a different way of life, So, and same thing with music, even though your boy loves the heavy stuff, and this week's guest is making music in that realm. I love ambient music. I love synthwave. I love 80s. I grew up listening to a lot of 80s pop and Sting and the Police with my mom, and classic rock with my dad. And so I just enjoy kind of learning about new people and places and cultures. And there's still so much of the world that I haven't seen. So this show is really a way for me to connect with people, hopefully in a positive and entertaining way. And anybody who vibes with it, I truly, truly appreciate it. And, in a month like we have right now in the States, June is Pride Month. It is also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So to everybody out there, take care of yourselves, keep the faith, and be kind to one another. Be kind to yourself. I say that at the end of every episode as a tribute to my grandpa, but I'm saying it at the beginning here because it's important, especially in the times that we're in, man. Look out for each other, and I was raised to treat people how I want to be treated, regardless of where they look like or what they come from, or any of that stuff. And I wish, not to sound self-righteous, that more people were like that. As long as people are being good to each other and being good to all living creatures and kids and animals, I don't care what people do. I really don't. I don't know why so many people do. What other people do is none of my business as long as they're good to each other. So just keep that in mind, man. Be kind to each other and take care of each other out there. And if you are struggling mentally, don't beat yourself up about it. I've been very open on this show about my mental health struggles with anxiety and intrusive thoughts and overthinking, and it's gotten better over the years. Shout out to my therapist John and my close family and friends who I can confide in. I have a small, tight knit group of people that have been in my circle for a long time that I really count on, and I know some people don't have that. And that's why there's going to be a link in the podcast description for resources in your area if you're looking for therapy. But don't be afraid to speak to somebody that you really trust. You know what I mean? And to speak about what you're going through, because trying to go through it alone, it really, at least for me, and obviously, I'm not a doctor, so this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not being prescriptive here, but just speaking for me, shouldering everything on my own was never the healthy choice. So if you are struggling, keep your head up, find your tribe, and just know that it gets better. We all go through darkness to get to the light. And speaking of going through darkness to get to the light, this is a guy who has been on the show multiple times within like the last year and a half or so. And just a really good dude, fellow Midwesterner at his core. And he's got a sick band, and they've got a lot of awesome things on the horizon. It's always nice when people want to come back. He is none other than Jesse Weber. He is the lead singer of the band The Failsafe. If you're into like Sirius XM rock, if you're into modern metal and alternative rock, post-hardcore, all that stuff, you will love The Failsafe. They are in that modern rock realm. We first linked up, I believe, when their single Dying to Exist came out last year, and then he came back on for Wolves, and they were getting ready to do a tour with Drowning Pool. And Jesse is back on the podcast because, in addition to having a new vocal covers channel, which is pretty awesome, Jesse and the boys just released their cover of Panic at the Disco's The Ballad of Mona Lisa, which is also going to be part of Ghost Killer Entertainment's Pop Goes Hardcore Volume 3, which drops 4th of July weekend, if I'm not mistaken. And they are going to be playing Rockfest in Cadott, Wisconsin on July 18th. They're also going to be part of Booney Bash in Gould City, Michigan, which is taking place July 25th through July 27th. They're actually going to be headlining the Rock and Metal Night, which is awesome. So they've got a lot of really cool stuff going on, man. And he's always fun to talk to. Again, like just the Midwest sensibilities. Anytime somebody from my neck of the woods is doing something cool, I love to put on for him. And just a good dude, making awesome music. And this is the conversation that we had about everything they got on deck. So without further ado, I'm going to show my big yapper and give you guys my conversation with Jesse Weber of The Failsafe. Here it is. All righty, Jesse. Good to see you, dude. It's always good when people want to come back, man. And I think the first time we were on was, gosh, it might be 23 now, or like early 24. And I think it's been about a year since we caught up, brother. So thanks for coming back on, dude.
Yeah, and actually time flies, but if I remember correctly, I was on in March of 24 and then October of 24 or something like that. So I think it was only a year.
Okay, yeah, because it was Wolves was the last one that you came on for, and then Dying to Exist was the first one. Yeah, shout out Johnny Zirkle for putting me on to y'all, man. But yeah, it's always a great time. I couldn't remember if I was like, was it late 23 or early 24? But that's right. I had you on for
years are just blending together. I swear, like everything after COVID just together. Like it seems like yesterday I was living in Minneapolis and going to practice every Tuesday and Thursday with the boys, and now it's I'm across the country and we've been doing touring and all this other crazy shit. So it's pretty wild, man. It's how time flies for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, you guys, I love your band because I feel like, obviously you guys take the music very seriously, but you don't take yourselves too seriously, and you do a lot of like fun reels and shorts and stuff. But you've got some cool stuff coming up, and the timing of this is awesome because Ghost
Yeah,
Killers Pop Goes Punk Volume 3 is coming up, and you guys are on that. You're going to be doing a Panic at the Disco cover, the Ballad of Mona Lisa. How so let's just start there. How did you guys decide on choosing that one, man? Because obviously you're doing covers a cover channel of your own right now, and we can get into that. But how did you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
pick that one?
So that one started. This compilation was originally going to be a Panic at the Disco compilation, and it was going to be I guess a revision of the very first album that they had that went big, the Fever You Can't Sweat Out, I believe it was called. Um, and we were looking at what was left of the songs to do. I'm like, oh, well, that song kind of sucks. We can't do that one. This doesn't work either. Like all the good ones are taken, and I was like, honestly, like the only Panic song I'm really like digging that I haven't really seen a good cover on has been a Ballad of Mona Lisa, and that's not on there. But maybe he'd be open to us doing it. We talked to the label and said, hey, would you be interested? And he's like, yeah, totally. That sounds great. And then we came out this banger version of it. It's like I'm so excited about this one. It's because like liking that song when it came out back in the day, and hearing what we've done with it, with modern production, with the modern style, it's like it makes the old one sound dated now. And like I'm not just tooting my own horn, but I'm like, God, this like do you ever like play like a remaster of a game from like Super Nintendo or 64 that gets remastered and you're like you play the remaster of it, you're like, this is what I remember it looking like, although it's modern graphics. Well, that's what we're trying to do for Panic. That's the disco song. So give it a little fail-safe twist.
That's sick, man. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
in music production, I mean, even since that has come out, has come such a long way. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy to think like, gosh, like even like 20 years ago, if you were a band starting out in your hometown, the money you had to spend just to have a good sounding demo, and now like now
Yeah.
there's bands on their own with a lot of these plugins that exist and everything like where they can get really awesome sick sounds and then obviously mixing and mastering. I'm not trying to like dumb down the process, right? But music has
Yeah.
come such a long way and just within the last even like decade. So I'm excited to hear it, man. And you're doing you started a cover channel for people who aren't aware. um
Yeah.
and you've been
So
you've been experimenting with that. I know that I saw that there's Breaking Benjamin one in there. So yeah, talk to me and the people about that one, man.
yeah, absolutely. So if you're a fan of the Failsafe, Jesse being the singer of the Failsafe, I started a secondary account for a couple reasons. Number one, um, working with a new producer who's very label connected. We're trying to get a bigger label deal kind of going forward with the package. We're working on a whole package right now, and I can get into that a little bit more later. But he mentioned, Jesse, your social media is just bad. Like you're not really doing much with it. You're not really pushing anything. Most singers these days, they have to be doing something social media wise, and the band is essentially an extension of them. So I was like, well, I can sing. I'll do these covers. And I was like, well, let's just use this as an opportunity to do like all the covers I want to do, whether they're big popular songs or they're more obscure songs. I'm just going to do them because like I'm doing like 10 of these, 11 of these a month basically. We built a machine to crank these things out. So it'll start with either me on guitar or Kyle. I prefer Kyle on guitar because he's way better than me and has a nice guitar, all that stuff. And I'll take those guitar tracks. I'll take the song. I'll put in this tuning. It'll pitch shift up down until I kind of find the sweet spot and where it's going to sound really good. I'll drop the tracks on it. And then from there we'll send it over to Chad and say, okay, Chad, we left as bare bones as possible, so it just limits the risk of you overproducing this thing. And he's like, challenge accepted. Next thing I know, he's got like wind chimes going and like just crazy drums, and he just makes these things really, really big. Sometimes too big, but that's okay. And then yeah, we've just been rolling them out. So far, I put out 11, 12 songs. I got another 10 more coming, and I'm working on. I'm The nice thing about it is like it feels like my entire music career doing social media, I've always been in front of the eight ball. Like, oh no, we need something to post. What do we post? Let's do this. Like, and it's now it's like I have a stockpile. Like I got Fort Knox of content over here, just gold, and I'm just slow rolling it out, and like now I can actually strategize with, okay, what if I use this tag and see what happens? I could never think on that meta before because I'm so focused on just getting content out to like have time to pay attention to like analytics and things like that. So it's like it feels good knowing like I have a month, 2 months worth of content. I don't even have to worry about it right now. I can just focus on posting it. And it's it's been a lot of fun. As you can see, like, if you look at this room, we're shooting all of the covers in this room for the most part. That might change in the future, but have a nice red wall. It's kind of cinematically shot. Has some cool lighting. I'm changing my stage gear a bit. I used to be the guy who just always be in like a black shirt or a white shirt, and for a while it was just a white shirt, like plain old white shirt Jesse. Now we're kind of going for more of a maximalist situation where I'm wearing just kind of darker, a little more goth in ways, more formal, elegant, but still edgy. And we're just kind of delivering that whole package in these covers and kind of slow rolling it out, testing out, do people like this? Is this resonating? And so the other piece is we're trying to figure out how shadow banned we actually are on all these platforms. We're getting some reviews, some AI reviews on our social media, and one of them mentioned, "Hey, I think you're shadow banned on TikTok." I don't know why. I don't know what we did. We never bought followers. We don't post anything dangerous or against rules. But I think we were buying ads from them, and then we stopped, and then they stopped showing us to everybody. So I think they got mad at us. So I'm starting the secondary channel to see if this gets traction, and then maybe we'll just move everything over to that one, I guess. I don't know. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work, and you can tell I'm excited about it because it's like, man, this work is done. Like I can actually just slow roll out, and I'm in a pretty good routine. The whole band is in terms of just getting the stuff out the door. So yeah, long story short, Jesse Vox .wave, I believe it is. It's so new, but yeah, jessevox.wave, or if you go to the Failsafe, it's mentioned there. If you go to the Failsafe Jesse, I have it posted in my bio. You can't miss it, but it was also kind of a headache too getting released. So we had this whole plan, like, okay, I can't create the account until the day I post or whatever, or a day before I post. So what I was told, I don't know if it's true or not. So I had all this stuff we worked on the whole month. I create the account. Second I create it, your account is suspended. Like, what the hell is going on here? And so I created a new email account just to create another channel. And then that account's restricted because they thought I was AI. And so then I had to do this whole like test where I had to move my head up and down, left and right as they're commanding to prove that I wasn't AI. I'm like, I'm not the ugliest bloke in the world, but like, I'm not AI, man. That's crazy. And so I was like, all right. And so then TikTok throttled me for the first 2 weeks, apparently. That's just what they do. And so I was thinking, like, I followed this whole thing, like, to get 10,000 followers in 30 days. Well, I have like 60 at following that to a T. So AI isn't always correct. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun working on it. It's cool to kind of, I'm singing a lot daily now, and it's playing guitar daily, and it's I used to be a guitarist, and I just haven't done a lot of it since Kyo's the man. So now it's like I'm playing a lot more guitar, and my house just got a lot more musical with this channel coming up.
Dude, it's wild, man. Like we've talked about it before. And I know that I need to do way more with the pod in terms of trying to push it out to people. And I think that's one of the keys is like having fun with the process. And like you said, getting content scheduled ahead of time. I made it a point last year. I was like, all the podcasts I listen to, they're doing reels, they're doing shorts, they're on TikTok. Like I need to step my game up. So I made it a point to like learn, and I'll give them a free shout out, Da Vinci, because I have a PC. Like I downloaded their software, and watch a few videos on how to put clips together. And like this
Yeah.
year I got like a new webcam, and now I'm like, I've been saying it for a while, including the last time I was with you. I was like, man, I need to do like when the show comes out, I need to do like 3 or 4 instead of just one, like you got to stay in people's heads. You got to, pick out 3 or 4 fun clips from the show and put those out there. And so, and I'm balancing this with my day job, and like I'm booking the guests, I'm editing the show. So I'm a one-man band. And so it's like,
Yeah.
you don't want to get so lost in the sauce that you start to not enjoy it. You know what I mean? And so like, I had a chance to spend some time with some family recently. I have a new nephew, shout out Vic, my sister's first baby
So big.
boy. And so it was good a chance to get home and see him. And it was my mom's birthday. It was kind of like a circle of life trip recently. It was like one of my mentors, both of my mentors in broadcasting sadly passed away earlier this year, a month apart.
Oh, bummer.
And I didn't get a chance to go to one of their celebration of life ceremonies, but shout out Mike, I did, and it happened to be the same weekend as my mom's birthday, and also getting a chance to meet my new nephew. So anyway, so I had a chance to like recharge the batteries with family and kind of regroup because I love doing the show. I love talking with people.
Yeah.
And this is my favorite part is the conversation. Like I enjoy the other stuff, but like I think it's just like getting out in front of it, like you said. Then you're not like trying to scramble for stuff. And yeah, it's crazy. Some of the stuff like the back end, the things that I've learned doing the show from artists like yourself and others, like if somebody would have told you even 20 years ago, hey man, like 20 years from now, like the marketing is going to be like basically just as important in some ways as the music, you'd probably be like, what? Like, I don't want to be a marketer, dude. Like, that's not what
Yeah.
I'm doing. I like sports and I like hanging out and partying and having fun and making music. Like, what? And, like,
Yeah.
and being on stage. And it is wild. But like you said, the positives of it is like you've got the content already ready to go, and it's giving you a chance to work on your instrument more and kind of relearn the guitar more. So those are all positive things, I think.
Yeah. It's yeah. Like I said a million times before, if you would have told me when I was 15-year-old Jesse, trying to sing in a band, like yeah, you're gonna have to master this, make cringe reels on TikTok, and that's gonna be most of the stuff you do, and it's going to be a struggle to get people to watch it and view it and follow you. And that's going to be the main job of being in a band. I might have backed out and been, I'll try that basketball thing. I'm not that short. Am I? Like 6 feet or whatever. I'll figure it out. But yeah, it's it's a struggle, but it is what it is. And I love music enough to kind of push through the nonsense and get to the music. And now, like this cover channel is a nice opportunity to really learn more songs, learn styles and techniques, and really kind of develop, continue to develop as a songwriter. And I kind of look at it like back in the day, if you want to improve as a musician, you learn covers. You join a cover band, you figure that out and figure out what they do in real songs, and you apply it to your originals. Well, it's kind of the same thing in just a more modern version of it. Given there's still cover bands everywhere, but this is just kind of a modern take on it, that old school mentality. So it's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun, and it's cool to kind of, if you are missing content for a day on the Failsafe, well, guess what? I have this vocal thing. You can just share the same video over there, and because we have 15,000 plus people there, 60 on this channel, so there's people are not seeing it for sure. So hopefully that changes in the near future. Feel free to tag it when you post this. I'd appreciate that. But yeah, it's a process, and right now we're enjoying the process for sure.
Well, I'll give you your flowers, man, because I made a covers playlist, and y'all's Juice World cover is on there. So I'm not.
Yes.
I'll share it with you. I did like I think I just called it like Mikey's cover faves or whatever, and the Juice cover is you guys really made that your own, and I thought did a good tribute to the song as well, man. What are some of your favorites? You mentioned like that's a lot of bands learn that way. I believe Van Halen for that's what they did for years before they broke as Van Halen. They were playing cover
Oh, yeah.
tunes at dive bars and stuff. And then I think I saw an interview where Eddie Van Halen said it was actually tough for them back then as a rock band because when they were coming up, everything was like very disco oriented. Like that was the thing. Like
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
people didn't really care about like the rock band thing. And then he said we just played anywhere and everywhere. He was like, all the sounds that I make on guitar, he's like, were basically out of necessity because I couldn't afford like the fancy pedals and stuff. So I just had to like, I mean, he's a friggin' wizard guitar god, obviously, R.I.P. Eddie, but like, but then they ended up, I think that he said they sold out like whatever the Anaheim arena was, like on their own as an unsigned band. They like filled it up, and then labels were
Well, you
finally.
forgot the important piece before that. He found the pick of destiny. You remember that show?
Yes, 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 yes. But yeah, man. So it's like everybody, I feel like, kind of cuts their teeth. Whether you go from like if you have aspirations of being an international band, right? Everybody starts in their hometown. You're playing covers, you're playing local gigs. You put out albums, you put out singles, and then you kind of make it. But yeah, cover wise, like, are there some that stick out to you, even when you think back when you were getting into to really getting into music, like some that you loved to sing or like try to sing, like, oh, I think vocally I can try to pull that off.
Oh yeah. When I first started singing, like I was in a choir. I had a letter in something because I wasn't going to make the basketball team. I was 6 foot, and I was a center, so I had no jump shot, and just had elbows. That's all I had. So I was like, I got a letter in something, so I'm going to do this choir thing. I tried out for this choir. I made it, and they did this hazing ritual where the seniors would like creep into your room at night or in the morning and grab you and bring you out of bed and make you run around the playground and then take you out to breakfast, whatever, and wake you wear a Burger King crown and a shirt that says "Ask me to sing." So I go into class. This guy that I barely talked to seemed like okay guy. Didn't really talk to him. He's like, "Oh, you sing? Well, I'm trying to start a band. You want to join?" I'm like, "Not really, but whatever." And then he kept bugging me. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll try." And I ended up liking it, but I still had this choir voice. I was just like, "Oh, no, this isn't working." And finally, something clicked because like I could do covers and I could do like the people's voices really well. It's like I need that voice, but for the original stuff. And finally it clicked. But the song that really clicked for me was "Pardon Me" by Incubus. I was able to belt that sucker. I was able to do the voice, and that really back in the day that really helped. And it's crazy because like I'm not a huge Incubus fan, but like that song I was able to really take that song because they brought the good out of my voice and then apply it to the original music. And then years and years and years of singing, sucking, singing, getting better. Now flash forward now, like I'm like, cool, there's a lot of cool songs that I've been wanting to do for a while that we're covering. Snuff by Slipknot's one of them. We're doing that one. That's really cool. The Ballad of Mona Lisa by Panic at the Disco. We're releasing a full version of that on the Pop Goes Punk Volume 3 from Ghost Killer that we're doing on the 27th. God, what else is there? Oh, Paris. Anything Paris, and I'm covering a couple of their songs. They're a huge influence in the last 10 years or so coming up, so it's cool to jump into their songs. And then I did a Post Malone song, which I'm really excited about. Hollywood's Bleeding. Like, that sounded so cool, and it's cool having a rock singer. I mean, given he's a rock singer too, but man, it really was cool to break that song down a bit and do our version of it. So I'm excited for these for sure.
Hell yeah, man. That's a great mix. Pardon Me might be my favorite. That might be my favorite Incubus, excuse me, song. Make Yourself is definitely my favorite record from them for sure. That one had a lot of
Yeah,
great songs on it. But yeah, the Posty cover, I'm looking forward to that too, man. I got a chance to see him live here in Nashville. I think it was actually, of all the places that he played, he said it was his first football stadium. He played Nissan Stadium here in town, and dude, it was sick and it was cool because that country record had come out, F1 Trillion, and
yeah.
was blown up, and so he was playing with a live band, man, and it was so cool to hear like Candy Paint and like Rockstar. It was cool to hear the rap songs with this country band playing it live too, dude. It was
Oh man, what?
dope. It was dope. It was one of the I've seen some awesome shows, man. I saw Metallica at the Joe in Detroit playing in the round. That was when Death Magnetic came out, and they had these huge coffin speakers that were coming up and down. Like when they played one, like my skin was like I had goosebumps. It was crazy.
Oh,
Um,
dude.
saw Pearl Jam at the Joe. They played for like 3.5 hours. They were just here. I should have gone. I'm kicking myself now for not going. But yeah, that Post Malone show is probably like top five because it was so cool to hear, those songs. Because I think a lot of times, like with hip hop shows, like there's a lot of hip hop artists that do have live bands, But there's usually the PAs going, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it was cool to see him play that with like a live band, man, and just see a country band playing like Candy Paint. You know what I mean? Like, because that's like one of my favorite
that's
Posty songs. But
mind blowing.
Hollywood's Hollywood's Bleeding is that's a fun one, man. That's a cool song. And I feel like I'm there's Posty covers out there. But that's a cool one to take a stab at. And when you're trying to do a cover, is it a delicate balance of like making it your own and also like preserving what's great about the song, or do you feel like you're kind of striking that as you do these?
Um, a little bit of both. Like obviously, we want to retain like the hooks of the songs and things like that, but I do try to attack it a different way. I try to just not like if it's a rock song, I try to just not be like all rock voice. I do a lot of dynamics, a lot of like lower dynamics, and kind of swell things up. Um, and try to do that style, and then obviously with the backing tracks, we're doing more acoustic strings. It's all stripped down style. Although we do have a couple of like for like covers that we've done just because we wanted to do them, and we're still kind of feeling out what we want to do with this channel. But now I think we're pretty set on, hey, we want to do more stripped down acoustic stuff. But there's a couple of like just like we did a pair of song almost like, for example, and a Hands Like Houses song as well, like almost like for like, and because people say, and this is a compliment, I don't say this about myself, but this has been told that sound like an American version of like their singer or the guy who just left their band, which that's a huge compliment for me. So like I got to do that song. So we did. But yeah, we strip things down. We keep most of the hooks. If there's like certain guitar hooks, we may or may not leave those in, but the vocal hooks we retain almost all of that.
That's sick, man. And you guys got some awesome shows coming up too. You guys are playing Rockfest. This is going to be out probably like a week and a half before that happens. That's on July 18th in Wisconsin. And I think I'm saying it right, Cadott. So anybody from Wisconsin,
Yeah.
please come at me. I'm from Toledo. I'm from the Midwest, but Wisco, there's some names up there that, like Eau Claire. I don't know if it's Eau Claire, Eau Claire, but Cadott,
Oh, Claire,
Wisconsin.
that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then Booney Bash, which is in Michigan, July 25th through the 27th. You guys are actually headlining the Rock and Metal Night, from what I saw. So that's sick,
Yeah.
dude. We were kind of talking about before the jump. Rockfest has been going on for a while, and so many awesome bands like within y'all's wheelhouse in terms of like modern rock have played that over the years. How cool is
Yeah.
it, man, to get out to the people this summer?
Well, I'm really excited for it because obviously we haven't been on the road since our Drowning Pool tour in October, so we're hungry. I mean, we've been working on music, we've been working on content, and just staying afloat, and kind of doing everything and preparing for this. So, Rockfest is really interesting because they offered us not one, not two, but three sets on a Friday night. So you're getting three scoops of the failsafe. Basically, anytime that like there's a side stage and a main stage, anytime the main stage band is not playing, we're playing, and we're playing in the full hour every set. I'm kind of nervous about because we're playing a show before that with I'm gonna mess this up. Silent Theory. I almost said Sleep Theory. Not them. It's Silent Theory. Also a really good band. So they're touring. We're playing with them on the Thursday before in Rockford, and then we're going to Cadott, playing three sets there, and then the next night we're in St. Paul, Minnesota, playing a hometown show. Going back to Minnesota and playing that. So I'm like, I'm gonna be exhausted. Yeah, and then we have off basically until the next week because just the way it worked, it was like, oh, there's two festivals in the same area. I'm like, I'll do a podcast, I'll do some content with the boys in town, I'll see some family and just make the most of that. And then we're doing Friday and Saturday, so we're doing the rock night at Booney Bash Fest. So I'm excited. Shout out to them. Keep an eye out if anyone's interested in doing it. We have a discount code for tickets. I'm going to be posting that information in the next couple weeks here on our page. I'll be pushing that show. Shout out to Allison. Shout out to Drew, who are kind of running things. Really, really cool people. Really excited to work with them. And then, we're playing Escanaba way, way up north the last night of our show run. and that's always a good time because that town is so good to us. South City Pub is so good to us. Shout out Linny. She was in the Gould City music video, and she rocks and she recruits people to come to their shows, and she's really converted a lot of people in the Failsafe fans over the last couple of years. So we couldn't do it without her as well. But yeah, so it's we're really excited. But yeah, we're doing like hour-long sets. We're doing a 90-minute set at Booney Bash. So I'm like, whoa, we're really gonna be digging deep into our catalog. So you're gonna hear some deep Failsafe cuts, one or two songs that we probably never played live. So I wonder how that's gonna go. Like songs that we've had forever that we just have never played live. So this is gonna be interesting.
That's fun though, man. Especially like you said at Rockfest, to have the opportunity to play three different times and also be playing when nobody else is playing on the main stage. Like that's pretty sick, man. How did the Drowning Pool tour, how do you feel like that maybe helped prep you just in terms of the number of shows, like your voice? Like obviously you've been doing this a long time. You're no stranger to
Yeah.
live gigs, man. But is there any like vocal warm-ups you do before the show? And then as far as sets, are you gonna try to switch them up as far as the Rockfest ones too? Like you mix in some of the covers, or how far have you gotten with that?
Yeah. So I guess kind of going back to the Drowning Pool tour, it was, I'm playing all through the West Coast. So these are long 8, 9 hour drives between venues, going through the desert, then going through the mountains. So we saw the desert, we saw snow, we saw everything on that tour. And, I'm sharing a room with four other people, sharing a small Silverado with four other people, shaking all the hands. Needless to say, I did my damnedest to not get sick. And toward the end of the tour, and I blame some of my band members for this because they started getting sick. They got me sick, and there was one show, it was like the second to last show, where my voice it was gone. Like I played the set, I couldn't talk after. And I got through the last show, the last two shows. I think it was the third last show. And I got through them singing, but it was tough. Some things I learned, obviously, just, keep yourself hydrated. The basic rule for me is like, I don't drink because that dehydrates you. I mean, it's fun to drink, but I just don't mess with it when the showtime. I didn't have a drink until the very last show. And we did shots with some biker band in Drowning Pool, basically, after that show. And yeah, there was just there was some horror stories on that, like any tour. There were some horror stories, especially like Hollywood. That was an interesting venue, Whiskey Go Go. It's a famous venue, but they were, I mean, it's just how they do business is not what I'm used to. And I'm sure a lot of other bands will agree. I've never had to pay to park at the venue I was playing at and pay $60 to park there. That was insane, which was talked down from like 75. So I was like, that's a bit insane. So, but otherwise, cool stage, cool venue, nice sound guy. Yeah, the biggest lifesaver for me, man, and this has been ever since I've been touring with this band, is the in-ear monitors. For years, I've been in a band. I've been playing in bands. I always just use. I know I don't want to mess with the wireless or anything. That's nonsense. I'm just gonna get the monitor. Problem is, like, you naturally push your voice because you can't fully hear yourself over the band, so you're just subconsciously pushing your voice, and next thing you know, you're blowing your voice after one show, half a set. And for the life of me, for the longest time, I couldn't play more than one or two shows in a row. Once I got that wireless in-ears set, I had myself dialed in. I knew when to pull back, when to give it some socks, and I didn't, unless there was an actual illness happening, I typically didn't blow my voice since. And I can play 4 or 5. I think on this show, I think there was 7 shows we did in a row before we had a day off, which was. That was huge. like that was wild. And I'm still working during the day too. So I'm calling customers. I'm having meetings with people, on the phone with HCA or whatever at the time, doing that thing. And I'm in the back of a van and, making business go and, doing the tour thing. Or I was in the drowning pool green room because they had Wi-Fi or the better Wi-Fi at one point. So so I'm talking and doing everything, interacting with fans. It's a lot in your voice. So getting good sleep is huge. Had the same pillow every night. That helped, to get me to sleep. And, the monitors helped, keep my voice in check. And then, yeah, tons and tons of water, lots of tea. That was the other big thing too. Tea was a lifesaver. I had tea before I went to sleep. I had tea before the shows. I always had throat coat tea or some sort of good tea with hot water that really kind of kept me alive and running, so to speak. Yeah, it was a really really fun tour. Like, we're the opening band, so we got the shaft on pretty much everything. Like, if there's a bathroom stall, they're going to try to put your merch next to it, basically. While everybody else is like in like this nice area. And so there was a lot of that going on, and we still persevered and we did pretty well selling merch. The Hollywood show was tough selling merch because we were like behind all these stacked chairs and tables, and there was this guy. He was a really nice guy. Unfortunately, like, he was just massive, and people couldn't get around him, and I don't think he realized he was in the way. And so that night we didn't do too hot on merch. So otherwise everything was pretty good, with the merch. Despite the situations, being the opener, you kind of give him the shaft and on that front. But it was definitely there was a lot of learning, a lot of driving. It was a really really long, interesting, life-changing experience to kind of get on the road that far. I've never been to the West Coast as a band before, so that was cool. Getting that travel, kind of understanding the logistics of going through the desert. I'm like, oh, there's probably a reason why we haven't gone up this far. This is probably why. So yeah, it was really cool. Most of the sound people and people we dealt with were really sweet to us and really nice. And yeah, we'll do it again for sure. And we're looking forward to doing it again. Maybe maybe with Johnny Poole, maybe not with Johnny Poole. Who knows? I'll have to chat with those guys again, and see. But yeah, we're just looking forward to doing it. This is a little bit of a shorter run, which we're welcoming. But yeah, 3 sets in one night at Rockfest, plus talking to everybody, plus playing the night before, plus the night after, plus working the whole time. It's gonna be a wild ride for sure.
Get the pipes ready, man. But yeah, no, it's I always tell people, man, I'm like, if you're going to a show, obviously, people are there to see the headliner or whatever, but I always tell people, get there early and see the opening bands, man, because you might discover your next favorite band. Like, or you'll see somebody that maybe you weren't aware of, and you're like, oh damn, they were sick. I always tell people, back in 2008, when Disturbed was on the Indestructible cycle, Five Finger Death Punch opened for them.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and it was at Bogart's in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was a rainy, sweaty night. It was big wooden floor. Dude, and they opened up and they freaking ripped. You know what I mean? And the fact that Disturbed was already an arena band at that point, but they were doing like theaters and clubs to warm up for like their summer run, because that year I think might have been the first year of the Rockstar Mayhem Festival, which I believe is now defunct. Um, but they were one of the headliners for that. And actually, I think Slipknot was that year too, because All
Oh
Hope Is
nice.
Gone came out in 2008, which Snuff is on. Which, by the way, quick aside, I'm really excited to do that because I think your voice with that song is going to be sick. Snuff is one
Oh
of
yeah.
like top. That's like a top 5 Slipknot song for me, actually, and it's probably
Same here.
one of their softer ones in terms of just like, not being like, pedal to the floor,
Like, what in the stone sour is this?
but man, that lyrically, that song is so like, the lyrics of that are heavy. The music and all that obviously is different from what they normally do, but that's a
Yeah.
sick song. So I'm excited for you guys to do that one. But dude, I've seen some killer openers over the years, man, and it's Nothing More. I saw Nothing More. I
Oh
think it
yeah.
might have been their first big national tour. And Seven Dust took them out, and I saw them at Headliners in Toledo. and they did that thing where they have that big instrument, like they're all playing it. And I remember Ballast had come out, and I was like, I had heard that song before I saw them live. So yeah, long way of me saying, man, like I think that's that experience of being an opener and trying to win the crowd over. Like I'm sure you had people coming up to you like, oh man, that was sick. Like that's got to be
Oh
like
yeah.
rewarding when you have fans that come up to you that were there to see Drowning Pool. And actually, ironically, one of my buddy's old band, shout out Andy, he was in a metal band called Inner Sanctum back in the day, and they were the opener for Drowning Pool and at a place called Peabody's in Cleveland, Ohio. It was like Inner Sanctum. Um, gosh, who was the band? And then there was another band, and then Critical Bill, I think it was. It was Inner Sanctum, Critical Bill, who's from Detroit, and then Drowning Pool, I believe. So yeah, kind of full circle. But yeah, I think it's getting the experience as an opener is cool in that regard, because there's always music nerds like me who are like, dude, like, yeah, obviously I got tickets and I want to see the headliner, but I want to see who's gonna open up as well, because you never know who you're gonna run into.
Yeah, the other thing too, which we try to get the crowd on our side before the show would open. We'd go, like, if there'd be a line outside for doors, we would go out to the line. We'd give out stickers, guitar picks. We'd introduce ourselves, say, hey, we're the opener. What's your name? Talk to them a little bit. Hey, I always told them the same thing. I was like, look, guys, I'm gonna level with you. Make you a deal. You check out our set, and if you hate us, you never have to see us again. Is what I said. And there's like, sure, that sounds like a good deal. And most people are pretty, like, I think there was like just one jabroni who was like, I don't care about any band but Drowning Pool. That's the only reason why I'm here. I'm like, well, congrats, dude. Like, you can just listen to them at home or whatever. You don't have to show up this early then, just whatever. And he's just mad that other bands playing, not Drowning Pool. I'm like, well, sorry, man. Don't tell you. I guess you just hate new music. And he's like, I don't like anything that's past 2000 or whatever. He was just going off about it. Like at our merch table, giving out about us. Not that we sucked, that we just weren't making music before 2000. I'm like, I'm sorry. I was probably trying to learn like algebra or something. I don't remember.
You're like you're like, dude, I wasn't born yet, man. I couldn't
Oh, yeah, I wish.
couldn't will myself into existence when Judas Priest and Metallica were ripping it, and you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was born, I was born in the late '80s, brother. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, I think Jamie Josta from Hatebreed calls them "Impress Me Bros," which ever since I heard him say that, because sometimes I will stand with my arms crossed, but I realize at a concert like this isn't welcoming
Oh,
in general. Yeah,
this is like the fuck that band.
yeah. I think I heard
Yeah.
I think I heard Jamie Josta call it the "Impress Me Bro" stand. So anytime I'm at a show, because Midwest people were kind of like, oh, well, you can't, you know what I mean. So sometimes
Yeah.
I'm usually the dude like nodding my head, you know what I mean. But no, yeah, I think another band that I saw, it might have been on that Disturbed tour, Art of Dying. Um,
Ooh, yeah.
I saw those guys. I think they might have been on that same bill. Like I said, Nothing More. I saw open for Seven Dust when I didn't know too much about them. So yeah, there's been some bands over the years, man. That I've gotten. Just Adelitas Way was another one.
Oh, nice.
They were out with Seven Dust. So yeah, it's cool. And I heard LJ, because they're one of my favorite bands, Seven Dust, and Alter Bridge, rocking the shirt. Um,
Yep.
but I remember LJ saying in an interview one time, he was like, you know, the same people that you see on the way up are usually the same people you see on your way back down. So treat everybody the right way. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, it's you never know. People, like you never know who you're going to run into. And I always, like you said, meeting the fans in the line beforehand. I think that's great, because another quote that I love is, people will forget what you did and they'll forget what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how you make people feel, especially with music, where it's such an emotive and like emotional thing. You know what I mean? As in a guy like you's been doing it like most of your life, like people are
Yeah.
gonna remember, when they start seeing the Failsafe more and more and more, and they're gonna be like, oh, dude, I remember when I saw those guys open for Drowning Pool and he said, "What's up?" in the line. People remember that stuff, man.
I'm hoping so. And like, yeah, some people have like reached out on Facebook and like, yeah, I loved you in wherever in Wyoming. I don't remember where, honestly. And like, yeah, like I guess I thought I did horrible that night, but everyone was like, loved it. Apparently, that was like the best show or whatever in that run or whatever. Like, okay, but yeah, so like, yeah, just you create those memories, and that's what shows are all about. They're just a series of moments, and you're creating those moments on stage. And I always try to like for our actual live show, we're mapping moments essentially. It's like I don't just go up there and wing it. It's like driving. Like if let's say you're going on a road trip or a vacation, it's like what are you gonna do? Just get in the car and just head west or east or whatever and drive aimlessly? Yeah, sure, you might come across some cool things here and there, like oh, cool, there's Statue of Liberty, or cool, there's Grand Canyon, or whatever. But wouldn't it be smarter to go, hey, we're gonna drive this way. We're gonna stop here at Cedar Rapids or Cedar Point or whatever it's called, and hey, we're gonna go check out the giant thing in Missouri or whatever. But the point is like you're creating the moments, you're mapping your stage, your presentation, and you're selling the show. And because if you sell the show, your chances are you're probably going to sell some merch as well. So like we're very consciously always selling the show, telegraphing like it's a bad saying, but it's true. Like you need to treat the audience like they're ignorant, like they're either blind, or they're blind or deaf, or either or. And you have to telegraph when a big part's going to happen and when it's going to get quiet. And you have to put exclamation points on things. You need to give them an opportunity to give you feedback. Make some noise with the cymbals and get people to give you some feedback back. It's because the show is about, they're part of the show. If they're not there, like I've played shows where there's nobody, it sucks. It's like going on a date with yourself. Basically, it's like without a magazine or anything, on your phone, you're just sitting there like, oh, I guess can we get through this? Me and the sound guy. So yeah, so it's like there is equally, in my opinion, more important than even the band sometimes, because they give you the feedback, and if there's no crowd, it's not a show, in my opinion. So
Well, it's just been fun as always, Jesse, talking with you, man. And I want everybody to check out the cover channel. It's all the links will be in the podcast description. Check out the discount code for Booney Bash. And if you're in the Midwest or you want to take a road trip, man, to the northern Midwest specifically, man, yeah, check out Rockfest, check out Booney Bash. Before I get you out of here, Jesse, always a pleasure talking with you, man. It's always good to meet good people out here. And it's always fun talking with you as a band that's in this modern rock realm. And I think it's a really great time for modern rock and metal. And I know we've talked about this before, but you have everybody from like, bands like Lorna Shore and Slaughter to Prevail, Spirit Box, Sleep Tokens doing like R&B, and they've got saxophone in the, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And then you have bands that are on, like Octane, and bands like Major Moment, friends of the show, bands like the Failsafe, like you guys. I think it's such an awesome time right now for music, even though you have to do all this marketing stuff and you gotta like really sell yourself in kind of a different way. Back then it was like flyers, try to get it to the radio station to spin it. Now, like you said, it's algorithms and all this other stuff.
yeah.
But are there any albums for you, man? Like if we're thinking about like hard rock, new metal, alternative, because I don't know if I've asked you this before on the last couple of times that you were on, but like are there any that you would put on like your Mount Rushmore as far as bands or albums that to this day you're like, man, from like an alternative rock or hard rock perspective, I love those records still?
One record I constantly go back to is "That's the Spirit" by Bring the Horizon. Came out about 10 years ago. Um, it was kind of after they made a conscious decision to do something really different from metalcore, and they went more in the rock direction. That one really resonated with me more, being more of a melodic rock guy. Every song in there was a banger. I still go back to it. I draw a lot of influence from that band a lot in general. But that particular album was the start of me going, wow, this is amazing. This is what I can be doing with music. And yeah, I always go back to that one for sure.
Those guys are sick, man, and I think they found like new ways to like it's always cool when you see bands get to like, record like 3 or 4, and it's like they find a way to like continue to develop on their sound where it's like they have their sound, but they find new ways to make it fresh or new experimentation. Like that's part of the reason I geek out on Alter Bridge so much because like going from their first record all the way up to Pawns and Kings, like it's cool to see that growth and see what elements they've added in, man. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's a band I need to see live too. Is Bring Me, dude. Like I think they're gonna be in Kentucky at Louder Than Life, and I'm like, man, maybe that's one I need to go check out. Because usually everybody and their brother plays Nashville because it's Nashville, so I'm pretty fortunate and
Yeah.
spoiled living here. You know what I mean? But
Oh, for sure.
yeah, but they're great, man. One from back in the day that I love is Animosity from Seven Dust. I feel like that record, if it came out now, it would still be dope. And those guys are still like cranking it live too, man. But that's one from the archives for me. Are there any from like way back in the day that to this day you're like, oh, that's still like a solid front to back listen?
Well, you bring up Seven Dust, and I know the album, and I'm drawing a blank on it. 2004. It's Weather, I think, or something along
Seasons?
those lines. Seasons. That's what it was. Weather. What the hell am I talking about? Yes. Yeah, that album almost front to back is just banger. Like still to this day, and that one influenced on like back in that time. I can get into the screaming thing a little bit more, and then from there I went to Under Oath, They're Only Chasing Safety, and Define the Great Line albums, and Emery, The Question, things like that. But yeah, that was the gateway drug, so to speak.
Yeah, I always tell like the younger artists that I have on, who are born in like the late 90s or like, some of them now are even like after 2000, which makes me feel really old that
Oh
I'm
God, I hate
so I'm not,
that.
but like I tell all of them about Seven Dust. I'm like, dude, I'm like, you guys like that band, like your some of your favorite bands, that's like that band, it's like your favorite band's favorite band, and they're still ripping and still making awesome music.
Oh,
But
for
yeah,
sure.
man, I'm excited for y'all, man. I'm excited for the live shows. I'm excited for the covers channel. So once again, everybody check out Jesse's cover channel. It'll be in the podcast description as well as Failsafe tickets, tour dates, everything. The Ghost Killer Pop Ghost Punk Volume 3. We're gonna be in early July as this is hitting y'all's ears, so you still got time to get to Rockfest and Booney Bash. But
Yeah.
Jesse, anything else you want to leave the people with, man?
I think you very eloquently put a bow on that. So just Mike, thank you as always. March 4th podcast. Thank your listeners for putting up with me for an hour or so. And so my hot dog and grandstanding, all that fun stuff. So definitely appreciate it. I'd love to come back. And yeah, that's all I got.
You're welcome back anytime, brother. Always a pleasure.
Oh yeah.
All righty, dighty, there you have it. That was my conversation with Jesse Weber of the Failsafe. Make sure you go follow these guys on Instagram at We Are the Failsafe. You can follow Jesse on Instagram at the Failsafe Jesse, and his new vocal covers channel on Instagram is at Jesse_Vox.wave, and that is VOX.WAV. Their website is wearethefailsafe.com. So just scroll down to the bottom of the podcast description. That is where all of those links will be. So you know what to do. Hit those links, like and subscribe, follow their channel, stay up to date with all of the new releases. Once again, like I said at the jump, their cover of Panic at the Disco's The Ballad of Mona Lisa is out now, available everywhere you get your music. And it will also be part of Ghost Killer Entertainment's Pop Goes Hardcore Volume 3 playlist, which will be dropping 4th of July weekend. So I just want to say directly to Jesse, dude, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the podcast again. You know you have an open invite anytime, my guy, and it's always fun talking with you. And I see you guys hustling and putting in the work, and it's always motivating to me to do more for the show, too. And even though there's only so many hours in the day, and now as a content creator, whether you're podcasting or whether you're making music like you are, like we discussed, man, like the marketing aspect of it and the content piece of it is so much of it now, and it's kind of replaced the old school way of putting up flyers and on telephone poles and stuff and passing out flyers and whatnot. And so it's just a different medium, in today's day and age, man. But you guys are really motivating. I love what you're doing. The music is awesome and the product is great. And you guys are good dudes. So once again, everybody hit those links. And if you want to take a little road trip, again, they are playing Rockfest in Cadott, Wisconsin on July 18th. That festival has seen a lot of awesome bands over the years. So it's July 18th, they're going to be playing Rockfest. And again, they're going to be playing Booney Bash in Gould City, Michigan, which is taking place July 25th through July 27th. And they are going to be headlining the Rock and Metal Night at Booney Bash. So again, wearethefailsafe.com, and all the links are in the podcast description. So for everybody who tuned in and made it to the end, once again, thank you to you all. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, I truly appreciate everybody who's checking out the show. It really does mean a lot. I feel really privileged to be able to do this. I enjoy this. This is a creative outlet for me. And just like, some people paint, some people draw. It's been a lot of fun doing these shows, man. And we're creeping up on episode 200, and that's just of March 4th. That doesn't include a back catalog of episodes when it used to be Bauman's Breakdown. So that's what's cool. If you subscribe to the show, not only does it help the episode rank higher in the algorithms, which we all know and not so love, but if you subscribe, you get I think it's over 200 episodes going way back in the day. There's some Mark Tremonti conversation in there. There's a Miles Kennedy conversation in there. Doc Coyle, a lot of cool heavy hitters, man. Clint Lowry from Seven Dust, one of my all-time faves. So you get all that. And if you would be so kind and you did enjoy what you heard, if you like and leave a rating and a review on whatever streaming service that you listen to. So if you rate the podcast and leave a review, I believe on Spotify and Apple in particular, it's a 5-star rating, but you can also leave a comment. Those things go a long way in helping the show get out to more people organically, and that's what I want. I want more people to find out about March 4th, not because I'm trying to have my face everywhere, but because I want to prove that, hey, man, positive content wins too. It's not just awful videos and politics and all that negative stuff that gets shoved down our throat every day, that there's an appetite for people like me who want to hear about new music and new artists and people persevering and overcoming and marching forth in their lives. So if you're on my wave, I hope that you do that, because it gets the Failsafe out to more people. It gets what Jesse's doing out to more people, and it gets what I'm doing out to more people. And hopefully we can prove that positivity and love are still the dominating forces in the universe. So if you want to be part of that, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. That is going to do it. Once again, you can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod. I am on YouTube and TikTok at March 4th Pod. If you search it up, the links for everything that I do will be in the podcast description for this episode as well. And I believe this is officially going to be dropping July 1st. So we're actually at the tail end, or we're actually, at the end of Men's Mental Health Awareness Month and Pride Month, which was with June in the United States. But again, man, even though that month is over for the official recognition, please take care of each other, take care of yourselves, be good to each other, be kind to each other, be willing to learn and be open about people who come from different walks of life, man. It's what helps you grow. So on that note, keep the faith and be kind to one another and be kind to yourselves. Courtesy of Jesse, here is the Failsafe's cover of Panic at the Disco's The Ballad of Mona Lisa. Peace.
Paints her fingers with the close precision. He starts to notice empty bottles of gin and takes a moment to assess the sins she's paying for. Along the speaker in a conversation, her words are swimming through his ears again. There's nothing wrong with just a taste of what you paid for.